Yeah, I just wanted to talk about something with everyone real quick. Different kinds of subs and DOMs, okay? And first thought might be, there's a difference? Yeah, there's a really big fucking difference. The difference between someone who's a slave and someone who's a little is like hugely different. Or hugely different. Like, the best way I can put it is, even though they're all a type of submissive, it's like a scale. Like someone who's a slave, like if you know what a slave is, there you go. Like, there's nothing else to really say. They basically get their whole fulfillment and their joy from pleasing and serving their dominant or their master. Period. And they don't need anything else in return, or very little. Then I would say the next one down is kind of more of a generalized submissive. There's like S&M, so sadist and masochist. Basically those are the ones that really like pain. But anything from slave to little can like pain though. So like that's why I generalize sub. They identify as sub, not slave, not little or baby girl or anything like that, just sub. Now this is where a lot of people think that they're sub when they're not. A submissive is almost is like a lower volume of a slave. So it's like everything a slave is, but then rather than having nothing in return, a submissive requires affection and aftercare and knowing that they've done good, and like they need the emotion in it. And I've known some subs who are more submissive and more like they're more experienced, so they're actually more submissive than a slave, period. That's just how it is. But they couldn't ever do what a slave does. A slave does it without emotions attached, or they're without receiving anything in return. So they'll provide everything and completely be fulfilled by it, but don't want any emotion. And yeah, okay. Then next would be daddy dom. And like I'm a daddy dom, but I can morph into whatever I need to be, like depending on what kind of submissive that person is. I've yet to meet a kind that I couldn't morph into. So I've been with a little. That's like the opposite end of slave. A little. They usually have had some kind of trauma when they were younger, between anything from 0 to, I don't know, let's just say 18. And so like although they could be 30 years old and have an adult mind, whenever something happens, they feel most comfortable by returning to that age light figure. So I was just actually dealing with a little, and her age was, she told me 4 to 6, but I would say it'd be more of like 8 to 11, somewhere around there. But a big problem with littles is that they think, well, this one did, right? I don't know about all of them, and I know with more experience everyone can learn and be better, because in a DS relationship it's all about growing and being like, how can I be better for this person, both ways, dominant and submissive. So this little had no experience with a daddy, and she seemed to think that if she was little, she could get all the affection, which I'm happy to provide. I was in that headspace where I was able to provide all affection and stuff like that. But anytime she didn't like something, which, you know, as a little and being that child, having that age, they're gonna find something that they dislike, and that's normal, right? And that's why it's like a parental figure and not just, you know, on equal terms, because a little will guilt trip and manipulate and make you feel shit if you don't have that parental figure. You can't put your foot down. So anyways, this little she was under the misconception that she could jump from being little to and having whatever age was, like 6 to 12 or whatever it was, to acting like a complete adult and treating me like shit, rather than and she had no communication. So I would be like showing affection and guiding her. Like, I think one time she was in little space and went outside to play and gathered up 10 worms. I was like in that headspace, littles have trouble knowing what's right and what's wrong, and that's why they're with a daddy and not someone equal, because a daddy will guide them. So I was like, okay, so here are my choices. One, be okay with her playing with worms, which I guess if she really liked worms, then I guess. But what I said was, well, if her age is between 4 to 6 and she feels most comfortable in that age, then I have to treat her like she's that age. That's the whole idea. So I told her that she has to ask permission before going outside, and that she didn't like that. So what she did was, rather than expressing her feelings and communicating and staying little, she thought she was okay with freaking out and turning big and acting like I'm the worst person ever for giving that rule. So, and I've heard of many littles doing that. So I just kind of want to throw that out there, that either you're little and the daddy's gonna give you rules and protocols to follow, to help you, guide you while you're little, not while you're fucking big, while you're little. You either go in all, or you fucking get the fuck out and do some research. Because, like, for me, for what happened, my guidance would be, like, for her age, between whatever 4 and 6 of what she's saying she was, I treated her as such. Like, if someone is a child and they're between 4 and 6, do you think that they can go outside without permission, or alone, or anything like that? Like, although they're cute and everything, right, you got to take care of them. So if a little wants to be in that headspace, they can't just jump in and out anytime that they want to, when they feel upset. And every daddy is gonna fucking either leave or put their foot down like there's no fucking tomorrow. And because they're little, they'll probably get pushed deep into little space and feel like shit. It's a mess, is what it is. And the less and less experience a sub has, the more they'll want to switch in and out. It's common for new subs to not want, they want to stick their toe in the water and test to see if it's cold first before they jump in. And any experienced dom, or even semi-experienced, or anyone who knows what they're doing in any kind of way, understands that you either jump in or you get the fuck out. because if you just fucking test the water with your toe, just like in the ocean, it's gonna seem way the fuck colder than if you just get in, period. So, and yeah, so I have many stories about what new subs and of all kinds have thought they were, and then it didn't fucking, like, they're fake. They just think that if they're like that sometimes, then they're real, right? The truth is there's a difference between acting like that and being like that. So either you're in all the way, or you can fucking just get the fuck out. It's like there's a lot of controversy about if there's fake DOMs, which there are, 100%. There's guys who fucking watch 50 Shades of Grey and they think that they're Dom and that's it. And you know, it's good. Submissives are more vulnerable to getting hurt than a Dom should be, right? Depending on it. Like, I'm a daddy, so I can get hurt very, very easily depending on how their mindset is. Like, if a slave does something wrong, I won't take it the same way as if a princess or a kitten does something wrong. Like, it could be the same thing. Like, let's say a slave does ignores me for a day, right? It's possible, I guess. Like, if they're really experienced, they wouldn't do that because it's extremely disrespectful. Period. Like, even in a normal relationship, it's extremely disrespectful, especially if you care about that person, because all it shows is disrespect. And that, yeah, that's it. So, but in a DS relationship, there can be none of that. None. So, but if a slave were to do that, it'd be handled much differently than if a little did that. Because a little would do that because maybe, or a baby girl or a princess or kitten might do that because they're hurt, where a slave would do that because they either, one, want to get punished, or two, they're just done with the shit. Because usually slaves are more fucking independent, right? They don't need a daddy Dom. Like, I can deal with slaves, but it takes me a lot of time to adjust to being with a slave. So, because it's a whole different headspace. And yeah, it's a whole different kind of crazy, so to speak. So, and yeah, so I default, like, if I default and go for what I want, I will go for something like a little or a baby girl, or I haven't really tested out kitten. Okay, I haven't been an owner, but it would be something I would be willing to try. Now, like, I'm very dominant in that way with my relationships, extremely dominant. I love guiding. Like, I will teach people how to do things if I don't even fucking know them. I love to teach, I love to guide, I love to explain why it's good, right? And I've always been the kind of person who is usually right. Even if it pisses off the other person, I'm very logical and very reasonable. Even when I'm upset, I sometimes can say more than I should, but I always have a reason for saying stuff. It's not like I'm saying stuff that I didn't mean. I always fucking mean everything I fucking said, to the core. So I'm able to be objective like that. Now, if I'm doing something wrong, I have troubles understanding and realizing I do that outside of a DS relationship. In a DS relationship, it goes both ways. So because I know that there's a problem, I'll tell my submissive to always respectfully bring up if they are uncomfortable or dislike something I'm doing. because I'm not fucking perfect, right? So I'll have like a set of protocols that'll bring me into the mindset of listening. For example, this little that couldn't communicate, I told her to, rather than jumping from little space to big space and freaking out, I told her to, what was it I told her to do? I told her to say, like, I can't remember. It was something like a sentence I have written down somewhere. I don't know if it's, I probably threw it out now because everything's unique to each person. But it was something along the lines of like, is it okay if we talk about something? I am starting to feel upset. And it was just like that. And then I knew that that meant that something was really bothering her. She never used it. She just jumped to fucking big girl and started stomping around like a child, but used the excuse as big girl as a way to get away with it. So she stomped on me and I wasn't ready for it, and I felt like a big ass bag of shit, and I apologized like profusely because I had that mindset of taking care. So imagine that a daddy, because it was little, imagine like you're a dad and then you find out that you've been doing everything wrong out of nowhere. So I just fucking felt like a big bag of shit. Like, that's a headspace. It's all psychology, right? So I was in that mode, and then like trying to guide her, and she just fucking flipped on me and completely stomped all over me. And I was not prepared for it. So I completely, utterly apologized and everything when I shouldn't have. And because I thought I did something more than just give her a rule that she didn't like. And that's what she fucking flipped on about, was I gave her a rule and she didn't like it. So rather than communicating, she stomped all over me. And that's a huge thing about experience and not experience. It's like I'm talking with someone who wants to be a sub right now, and they're new, right? They like the idea of it, and she's like, you can have my submission if I want to. I was like, okay, we'll test it out. And I haven't met her yet or anything like that. So we were talking, and what was the first thing I asked for her to do? I think she ignored me for like a day and a half and came up with some kind of fucking excuse. Or whatever the reason. Probably talking to other guys. Whatever her life reason was, it doesn't matter. There's no excuse. If you're my sub, I fucking own you. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. When you are my sub or I am your dom, I will take care of you emotionally, physically, whatever it may be, sexually, anything. Okay? I won't go the extra mile. I'll go 10 extra miles. I'll go infinity miles, because I will continue to keep going. Okay? So I'll always go that extra distance. But on the flip side, I fucking own you. You are there to please me, to serve me, and take care of me in any way that I need. And I don't want no fucking bullshit excuses. That's all it is, right? So this sub, she said that she wants me to be her dom, that I can have her submission. So I accepted. It wasn't a legit one because it was just over text, but like it was symbolized as a test, and we both knew that. So then like a little while after that, she didn't text me for a day and a half. So I was like, I'm like gaining this headspace, and the only thing that came to my mind was she's fucking not real, like does not really want to submit, and that she has no idea, or she's just fucking she's just very, very disrespectful to me. So, and then I was like, I told her to write lines. I have it on my phone, but I'm using my phone to record. I told her to write 5 lines out and send a picture to me. And it was, if I am able to, anytime I'm able to, I will always respond to my daddy. And I told her to write that out 5 times. Anytime I'm able to, I'll always respond to my daddy. Because, you know, if she continues doing it, it will fucking break us apart. It, period, will. It would break anyone apart. That long of a break, anything like that. But rather than a regular relationship, if you're my sub, I can fix it. So, because I own you, right? So, I told her to write out 5 times as kind of a test and then send me a picture of after she's done. And she said, okay. And then it was like really late. It was like 1 a.m. I was like, and she was supposed to send it earlier, but she was out. So I was like, okay. I want it sent before, and I want it on my phone, like it there before I wake up. And then I woke up this morning and it wasn't there. So I texted her, I was like, you know, I'm going to give you back your submission. I don't want it, because I feel like you're just testing the water, and it doesn't give me the power to be able to be a dom. So I just was like, okay, peace. I don't give a fuck. So she was really hot though, so I was like, if you just want to fucking be sexually submissive, we can talk about that. I don't know, right? We'll see, because I've already done all that kind of submission, but I'm currently looking for a relationship, whichever the case may be, whichever one suits me, because each person's different. So even though one might be a slave, that slave might be perfect for me, or that little, or that one. I thought that little that I was talking to, we connected like fucking crazy. Then she started putting barriers up, and it completely stopped me from doing my job. So I thought for sure, like, there was no doubt in my mind that fucking little and I could have been like fucking PB&J here. She fucked it. So, and her lack of communication drove a knife right through it. So what the fuck can you do, right? I'm not concerned. I will find my sub. Peace.